What's up, guys? It's Chance Jones, and I'm with the amazing Fred Smith here. How are you doing today, Fred?
I am happy to be talking to you right now. How are you doing today, Chance?
I'm doing great, actually. So I got a couple questions for you. It's just gonna be interview style. So my first question always is, what is your claim to success?
Well, my claim to success, and that's a good question, I've been able to successfully get out of the inner city, coming from a very, very rough background. And I wound up doing some amazing things, doing door-to-door sales for a few years. And then after that, I went into the military and learned this insane knowledge base, very, very high level stuff that really changes the world. And then from there, I went into the automotive industry and I started and scaled up several businesses from scratch to a few hundred million, and they all went to multi-billion dollar companies and still are around to this day. And then when I left that, I actually worked with Kia for a little bit. I worked with Kia, Hyundai, Volkswagen, Audi. And then after I got done with that, yeah, so all the changes that you're seeing in the brands, I had a lot to do with that behind the scenes. And then from there, I got into the online space and I built a company with a few other teammates from scratch. You know how like those ads chase you around the internet? Well, I helped to improve that technology as well as some of the data stuff. So been pretty busy over the last few years, and I'm finally having a chance to do my own thing.
That's amazing. That's awesome.
Thank you.
You're awesome.
Thank you. Likewise.
What would you say out of all of that was the most fulfilling for you? What made you feel the best?
You
What
know,
gave
that's really a good question. I think what really made me feel best was the fact that I was working with some really good people behind the scenes, like changing the world. And what I mean by that is people are still emotionally attached to their cars. Like people like to feel it, doesn't matter whether it's electric or gas. And just to know that the brands finally are starting to understand that there are different humans in this world and you can't be everything to everybody. So through me working with them directly for 20 years, it just really it's amazing to see some of the work now. And I'm just looking like this is like I can't believe that I helped do that, because I didn't think anything about it at the time. I was just working and working and working, but to really know for a fact that people are really getting good quality products through a lot of competition, and I know I had a lot to do with that, especially in what they call a customer satisfaction index, which means that if people aren't happy, they'll let the manufacturer know. That started around 2003 and 2004. And since that time, you either do better or you're not in existence anymore. So I really enjoy that part of it. So,
Wow. So, hmm. Would you recommend that to anyone else? Would you recommend that sort of lifestyle?
that's a genius level question. And here's why. It's a genius level question because I am married, and the challenges with being on the road all the time is that I was home about 6 or 7 days out of the month. So we have a total of 6 kids, three in the home now, two are never in the home. But part of that challenge was just really traveling so much that I missed a lot of them growing up. I missed a lot of the human stuff that goes on. So while it looked cool on paper and cool on social media that I was doing all of this stuff, it was really tough and difficult to maintain a home at the exact same time. So me and my wife made an agreement that she would hold the fort down, so to speak, because we were growing. We started from scratch, nothing, just like most entrepreneurs. And when she got really, really sick, then that was a good opportunity for me to come home. And I did. And since then, I've been an amazing father to my children who are here. I'm not missing anything anymore. And, yesterday helped my daughter get a car. It's just one of those kind of cool things. So, yeah, super excited about that part. But I would definitely recommend it if you really have solid, strong family ties and you're in strong agreement, if that's the lifestyle that you want to have. But I would think it would be ideal mainly for people who are probably single. I think that would help out a lot. I just happen to be super disciplined and super focused. So it's always been easy for me to just do a few simple things for my life. So hopefully that answered that question.
That was a really good answer. Hmm.
Thank you.
So,
A lot of that comes from me just being in the military. I think that was one of the other amazing things. So what you're seeing and hearing is what I learned how to do in the military professionally. So if we were off by one word, it could cause a war. So I had to be careful with my words and mind my language and really understand the power of words and how they can either hurt or heal. So I like to put that in everything that I do, and I just want to be super mindful and I'm just grateful and thankful to be talking to you. This is an amazing interview. Thank you.
So how have you put that into what you've been doing over the years? How have you put that into your work, your life, your family, spiritual stuff like that?
And which part specifically?
Um, I'm going either work or family. You
Okay. Like my actual personality or my words or
like how have you brought that into your life? How has that shifted the course of what's happened?
okay. I'll do my best to answer the question. I believe that in everything that I do, even though sometimes it can be really, really hard, it starts with a firm commitment to who I am and who I want to be and how I want to help and change the world. So as an example, when I was younger, I can't actually believe I'm saying this. When I was your age, I literally like my mom. I had said, "Hey, mom, for my birthday, I went to go get." I grabbed her by the hand and I took her out the house, and she said, "Where are we going?" I'm like, "Well, I have to get a job. Like, I want to do more things in life. Like, I want to really get out here and do things." And I've always just had this drive to just really want to help people, but it has to be meaningful helping of people because anybody these days can say that they're somebody. Anybody can say that they've done stuff. But what I've always focused in on was just really helping people. So when it came down to, as an example, being in the military, I was like, well, who can I help the most? I was like, oh, okay. I think I'll be a broadcaster and a journalist because that way I can speak to everybody. And that's why I did that. And then from there, I was in the car business. I was like, hey, how many people can I help? And then I wound up working with the manufacturers, and that's other hundreds of millions of people that I don't even see, and it's just a little bit of us just doing massive work around the planet. So I know a lot of like what these big brands are doing, as well as even in the military. A lot of that has to do directly with what I've done over the years because in these industries, they're so heavily regulated. You just have to always be the right type of person doing the right thing at that level because anything that's off is just like a missile. If it's off by a little bit, it can veer off hundreds of miles. So I've always done my best to just be the best human being that I can and just bring myself to everything that I do and really personified, meaning that I learned a long time ago, don't get into the car business, get into the people business. So it's always come back to people, and that's just how I've always been. I've always been a people person, regardless of whether it was directly talking to people or helping them get something that really can inspire and motivate them. Because like these cars, some of them are really cool. People get inspired to do more things to get that specific car. I just know that from a practical standpoint, I want to do my best in everything that I do. So that's how I come to the game.
That is very awesome.
Thank you.
Just like you. So what do you wish you knew at my age? What do you know now that could have helped you so much farther
Oh,
back in the road?
wow. I really love that question. I got goosebumps as soon as you said it. I wish that we would have had this kind of technology when I was your age, because now we're at a point where you can click a button and talk to somebody across the planet. And before, that was just a dream for me. Like my dad, he used to, as an example, do CB radio, which is called Citizens Band. And that was back in the 70s. So, like a lot of tractor trailer drivers still use that form of communication to this day. And he would click a button and it would go as far as Texas. That was about as far as he could go, and we were in Pennsylvania at that point in time. So that's a little bit over 1,000 or a couple thousand miles. But his stuff was that strong at that point in time But now all you have to do in less than 2 minutes is get online and talk to somebody. I think that's totally amazing. And I wish we would have had that, but also I wish I would have had mentors. Mentors are so important because they can really give you the shortcut. And I don't think that there's a such thing as a bad mentor. I think you'll either learn what to do or what to not do. But I also think that when you have somebody who's in a space who's actually done it, they understand what they're doing, they can really give you the shortcut to your success. So even when I was in the car business, I had a few mentors who were at the billionaire level, and I would talk to them and they would give me some real good insights. And that's how I was able to perform so well from that level. And even when I was your age, I had always wanted to just do more. But I think if I would have had someone to be like, hey, what do you really see, hear, smell, feel, think that you'll be doing in the next 5 years? That would have put me at 18 at least. And my guidance counselor, Mr. Burkhofer, who's no longer here with us, he did his best. So I have to definitely give him, a good thank you for really doing his best to help me out. I wish that we would have had more people though who were really like, hey, this is what I've done and let me grab you because this is what you want to do. I'll give you the best of what I have to give. Just like one of the guys who I just trained. I talked to him yesterday. He just turned 21. He's running a multiple six-figure per month business online that I helped build from the ground up. He replaced me. And I said, that's my job. My job is I'm only here to consult. I want you to take my job. So I mentored him. So when you really look at it, he's only at that time 7 years older than you. And he just turned 21 a few months ago, and he's running this multi-million-dollar online business from scratch. So it's totally possible to do it. You just have to have the people who know the shortcuts.
That makes sense. So, what is your area of expertise? What is your best way of helping people?
That's a good question. My best way of helping people is helping them have clarity in their vision. Because what happens is, even if we're at your age, there's still a lot of confusion out here because there's just so much stuff to do. But when you really know, like in your heart, what God has chosen you to do, or somebody's helping you figure these things out as you're growing, it really is a good shortcut. And when you have the vision, you can go, okay, thanks for helping me out. Let me go a little bit further and then I'll do this. So I help people get real clear on what they want, get real clear on what they don't want. I have a lot of different principles. I believe in power with purpose. I believe in the principle of knowledge over ignorance. People have to know that. I have principles of definitely ethical integrity because without integrity, you have nothing. So it's those things where if we can put those things and many more up front, then what'll happen is through time, you'll be able to attract the right people at the right moment and continually to do better in your life and you're helping others and you're building community. So
So, how has community and being and togetherness helped you in your life?
well, I can tell you that's a big thing with me is community. Family is very, very important to me. I'm just now building a new community because when you're playing at that kind of level, that's very, very high level. Typically, what happens is when you leave a community like that, you have to start all over again. And I'm not the only one who's had to do that. So over the last year and a half, I'm just now starting to have a local community because even online, I had an online community of people who were entrepreneurs who I was working with, but they do this one specific thing. Now that I'm doing more of my program, which is called From Vision to Victory, what I help out doing is I really help people discover their zone of genius. Then I help them get clarity on what they want to do and what they don't want to do. And then from there, their community starts attracting. So I'm more of a community builder and I like to help other people build their communities as well. So I'm really enjoying that part. Learning my kids' communities that they've already built out here offline and the ones that I've already had online and seasons change. So sometimes communities shift in my world just because of what I do from technology. Things are always changing or things are always changing in the sales and marketing world and advertising. So it moves really, really fast. So I know a lot of different people from different lanes. But what I'm mainly looking for as far as my community, what I'm building right now are visionaries, even like yourself, who just really want to help people and they want to have a nice supportive community that's going to give them the security and clarity that they need so that they can grow.
Hmm. So, how has mental clarity been a determining factor in your life?
Really amazing question. And mental clarity to me is everything. I look at the mind as just like a diamond. So if you have a very cloudy diamond and if you put light on it, it won't shine as bright. But if you have a really clear diamond, you can see all different parts of the rainbow in there. And that's really why the clarity of vision is so important because when you have that kind of clarity, what happens is your mind starts moving things around and like, okay, well, I don't need to use this right now, or hey, I thought I'd need that. I don't need that right now, or hey, I need this. Like as an example, I'm just now reading books that I bought years ago, but I knew that I needed them. I just didn't know when I would need them. And I usually don't collect things unless I absolutely know that I'm going to use them. So now that I'm at a different season of my life, I'm going back to some of the books I bought 3 or 4 years ago. And it's just like, this is the perfect book that I needed at this point in time. And I just knew that I needed it because when you have such a clear vision, sometimes you will put things out there in front of you that you need to build into. And that's when you know that you're really doing well. It's no different than like an architect. An architect will have an idea in their mind, then they'll sketch or draw it out, and then they'll maybe put it onto a blueprint. And then ultimately that building gets built, maybe not by themselves. Maybe they have a team of people that help them out, but they're the one who got the idea and brought it into the marketplace. That's a lot how my mind works. So sometimes I'll see things before they happen. I'll be like, okay, I'll need this, and this, and then it just happens. So I don't think of what I do as any different than an architect. I just want to get clarity. I know how wide these walls are, how many outlets I have right here, how many windows I have right here, and that's really, I think, the power of having clear thought because when it's that clear, then your mind starts locking in and then you can see other things that you need once you take that step.
Hmm. So, I see what you're going for. That's awesome. I love that thought. Like the thought of mental clarity being like what you need to see the next steps in your life.
Mhm.
But how do you know? Like how do you know like in your soul, in your heart, in your being that that's what you need?
Well, if I had to put it into one word, that word is faith.
Mm,
Because there's going to be times where we can try to be so controlling of things to the point where we can actually hurt our progress versus help it. So there's a balance in life where, in my mind, I pray on it. I know that, like as an example, I can't say that I want good health and pray for good health, but yet I'm eating cupcakes, Twinkies, and ding dongs every single day in junk food, right? So certain elements I know I can control, certain elements I know I can't control. So I have to really identify those parts as well through my vision and really be able to say, hey, like is this serving me? Am I creating this heaven right now, or am I doing things that aren't serving me? So by me just doing that every single day, minding my mind every single day, making sure that my actions and my behaviors are just as aligned as what I'm saying and thinking, then through time it just happens. I don't really have any control over the time involved with things. Sometimes you do and sometimes you don't. But for the most part, it's just like baking a cake. If I have the ingredients, okay, here are the ingredients, you put them together, and you're in Colorado, so your cake is going to take a little bit longer to bake than mine because you're a little bit higher up in the air, but for the most part, if we have certain ingredients, then it's just that process. It's no different than like even if you were to go to school, I guess at a certain point in time, that you're going to hit school by a certain time because you've just done it so long. So if you're familiar with doing one thing, chances are you can take that same behavior and put it over here. But the thing that I may or may not have control of is the time. So that's the unknown element. Or sometimes, again, if you don't have a mentor, then the challenge is you have to sometimes figure things out. You may waste a little bit more time, but overall, it's just faith. It's just faith. But put all of those, if I can put all of those things in and organize them in a certain way and make sure that there's no noise in my way, then there's a good chance that it's going to happen a lot faster. That's all.
So, going back to that clarity of thought, how do you clear that? How do you get the fog out of the mirror, so to say?
Got it. You have to make a decision. You have to decide. And some people are just scared or nervous to decide things. And the reasons why is there's a lot of noise out here, either in your environment or in your head. So sometimes people like me, I'll take a walk if it just gets too cloudy, or I'll do less if I start getting too confused because I have enough checklists and check sheets, and over here I have a big board, and in my other office I have these all of these plans, and I have this remarkable here, and I have another thing in the other room. I have plenty of ways to stay accountable to myself, but even with that being said, sometimes a meteorite just comes out of nowhere. So the only thing I can do is be like an airplane pilot where they plot the course, but when they're in the air, they're about 99% wrong, but they're headed in the general direction. And then they know they should hit their flight by a certain time. They should get to their airport. And if it doesn't happen, well, we have to figure out what happened. So that's about as good as I can handle it.
That makes a lot of sense. So, when you get into that clarity of thought, how do you know what to do? How do you go, hey, this is what I got. This is what I need. I need to do this.
Mhm. Yeah, perfect. Good, great question. So I have this concept called the freedom ladder, and the way that it works is there are certain benchmarks and milestones and checkpoints that you should hit based on your goals and your targets. So if we put math behind it, as an example, there's 168 hours in a week. So if I'm able to really see how I can allocate my time to just doing this one thing for this amount of time, this one thing for this amount of time. Okay, there's 24 hours in a day, that's it. Or if I happen to have a teammate who can help out with one piece, that's it. So in my mind, the way that it works is it's like Tetris. So when you hit a certain level, based on all of these different pieces, you spin the pieces in a certain way in a certain amount of time, and you hit the level, and then you go to the next part, and you go to the next part. But you also have to have a standard. Like you have to know what you do want and what you don't want, because as an example, my minimum standard for any time I want to hit a goal is that if I don't do a certain thing by a certain time, I have to ask myself, was that too complicated? That I overestimate like how much time it would take? Like as an example, today, typically on Wednesdays, I'm in Newport Beach, but I knew that I had this podcast, which is totally amazing, and I was like, well, I don't need to be in two places at one point in time. Let me stay in my familiar environment, which is home. So I got a lot more work done. So I had to learn. And this is something that my wife taught me because I'm very like in the military. Sometimes I'm like, okay, do this, do this, do this, do this, and this will happen. But she is really creative, and she's taught me that side as well. And even though I'm really creative, she's really creative when it comes to moving things around her environment. So you need people, and she's mentoring me on that. And it's you. I always am looking for a mentor because what I don't know, I'm not scared to raise my hand and say I need help on, and that's it. And then through time, these things happen.
Yeah, so, my mind's kind of blank right now. Hmm. Let's see. When you find a mentor, how do you know what they need to teach you? How do you find the mentor? Let's start
That's
with
a
that.
good. That's a good question. I think sometimes, at least from my experience, sometimes you don't choose the mentor. Sometimes the mentor chooses you. It just depends on what season you're in your life. Like I had one mentor I just saw the other day. I haven't physically seen this mentor in about maybe 8 or 9 years, and it was time for me to see that mentor again, and we just picked up like nothing happened. But during that course of period in time, I had to go through my journey of life. I had to really see things that they couldn't explain to me. So as an example, when I like for this specific mentor, I was not ready to see like how to create an environment that was on a massive scale on the business to consumer side. And here's what I mean by that. I'm doing my best to keep this real simple. I've been playing at a very high level in the automotive industry. So what that means is I've was playing with nothing but 7 to 10 figure business earners for like 20 years. Their environments are completely different. I'm always traveling 6 or 7 days out of the month, always working, but having fun because my work is my play and my play is my work. That's why I didn't feel like work, you know. And I met this mentor at that time in my life. And so he helped me with some offers that I had, and one of my offers was $100,000, and I got that more than once. Yeah, I got and directly from him helping me out is how I got that. And we just, I was just going so fast, and that wasn't his zone of genius, so I was just out of season for a little bit. But then fast forward, now I'm back in the lane that he's in because he's not in the automotive industry. He's more on the online marketing space, right? So but because we have a great relationship, it was like, hey, the door's open. And that's really how that came back into play. So now I'm at a different season in my life where now I'm focused on the stuff that I initially invested with, right? So now I'm back in the room. Now I'm unpacking things. Now I'm having fun. Now I'm meeting new people. And now he's at a different point in his business and I'm at a different point in my business. But now I know the exact steps that I need to do because he still grew as a mentor and he still grew as a mentor and he's talked to thousands of people, and it's just like that's now where I'm at. So it's cool to know that sometimes you may miss a flight, but there's another one right behind it. You just don't know when the next flight's going to be sometimes because I had so much momentum just doing one thing that it was unique. Chance, like what I did, I know for a fact that it's I'm rare. Like that doesn't make it happen. And I could look at, man, well, I missed this and I missed that and I missed this and I missed that. But my mentor is like, no, here it is. Here's a shortcut. This is exactly where you need to pick off. I'm like, okay, cool. So I didn't really miss anything. Thanks. And then, he spent around 50, $60,000 a month just investing in his own business. I haven't done that. So he's done that. So it's like, cool, you saved me $6 million. I'm okay with that. I'll just take where you're at and then I'll just plug in and we'll see each other soon. That's why I said sometimes with the magic of mentors, you never know. And that's the reasons why it's so important to just be kind and gentle and graceful to people because you may mentor me one day. You probably will because you know a lot more that I don't know. So I'm always looking and I had a mentor in India this time last year. Same thing he said. He said, look at Gen Z, look at Gen Alpha. They're the ones who are leading the way. And he was spot on. And he has about he's across 3 continents and he has like 50 brick and mortar he teaches agencies how to run ads and market and SEO, and that's what they teach. So you're teaching me something, like, so the mentorship is always going to be in season. So I would just say, to answer your question a lot more directly, it just really, if you stay on one path, when the student is ready, the teacher always appears.
Wow. So I'm going to finish this interview up with one more question. And that question is, what is your product? What do you sell? How can people find you? If they need a mentor, how do they find mentors like you? Because you're awesome.
I
So,
really do
yeah.
appreciate that. No, thank you so much. I really do appreciate that. Yeah, so basically what I do is I'm highly specialized. I focus in on comprehensive transformation for high achieving professionals, executives, experts like coaches and consultants. So what I help them do is get strategic clarity, like we just talked about. I help them get their messaging dialed in and nice and clear because that really drives everything. Like even I was telling my mentor 2 days ago, I just told her, I was like, your message is your funnel. We get that part right first, then everything else happens behind that. But you also need the clarity of thought, and also help people with their time creation so that they can create more time. But basically, if they want to reach me, they can just go to speedscaling.com and they can opt in. I have a 24-minute masterclass talking about all of this stuff because I roll it up into a process called the Phoenix Ascension System. I go over all of this stuff in explicit detail as to how it works because I want people to have breakthroughs. I really believe time is short. I believe that We all are here for a purpose and a mission, and I want people to help get there as fast as they humanly can. And sometimes it can be scary how fast it happens, because I'm telling you, it's just like, get prepared. You have to expect these things to happen, because when you go with intention, it's not scary. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. So that's how they'd be able to help. And really, thank you so much for this interview. It's been totally amazing, and I've had an amazing time with you, for real. Thank you so, so much.
Yeah, thank you. You're awesome. Um, so if anybody wants to reach you, they can go to what again?
www.speedscaling.com. Speed,
Speedscaling.com.
yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. So have a nice day. We're gonna stop the recording and thank all you guys for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. And if you don't, here's a little bit of knowledge.